You're in my mind, I'ma be okay. A little love goes a long way. So I'm going within today.
Hello, greetings, and welcome back to the Going Within podcast. I am your host, Reiki Master Sheena C, and I am so delighted and happy that you decided to join us on this journey, continue on this journey from season 1. We are now in season 2 of the Going Within podcast, and I am so excited for what's to come in season 2 as we continue our journey within and continue to thrive in our authenticity, in our new reality, with peace in our hearts, hopefully, and more clarity as to who we are and why we're even here. So today, I just want to, man, I'm just so elated and I'm so excited for what's to come for the podcast this season. I know we've been on a break, a few weeks break, and just been preparing for the second season, going into meditation and really working with the universe as to what it is that I should put out there that may be of use to those who need it, especially at this time with the world, the state of the world. There's so many people who are in need of some guidance. So each episode of the Going Within podcast is going to build on the last one. So you can use it as a guide, taking you from inner healing into intentional living. And today's episode is called Living as Your Future Self. As your future self. Basically stop waiting to become the person that you want to be and start making decisions from that version of yourself today. Okay, so after the healing, now what? Right? What do we do? How do we learn to live as our new selves, as the new you? So, before we begin, I want to say let's take a deep breath, okay? Let's start off by relaxing our cells, replenishing our nervous system. So, take a deep breath with me. Deep breath in and slowly let it out. One more time. Breathe in and release. So something feels different. It really does. It feels different within our bodies. It feels different in the world. And we're not exactly where we were when we started this journey, right? And that's what makes this moment so special. So I just want to say that we made it. We made it. And when I say we, I mean you and me. Because every episode, every conversation, every uncomfortable truth, every moment of reflection, every question that we have asked ourselves, we've been going through this journey together. Season 1 was about going inward. It was about remembering. It was about healing and releasing and questioning things about ourselves, becoming aware and learning to trust ourselves, learning to say no, learning that your peace matters. Learning that sometimes you have to walk away from what you once begged to stay connected to. We talked about loneliness, we talked about fear, our intuition, self trust, alignment, success, boundaries, pausing, and ultimately becoming who you were always meant to be. But here's the thing nobody really talks about. What happens after you become aware? What happens after you heal? What happens after you finally stop chasing the people, the situations, and the versions of yourself that were never meant to come with you? What happens when you wake up one morning and you realize, look, I don't want my old life anymore, but I haven't completely figured out my new life? And that's where we're going today. Because season 2 is not about becoming somebody completely different. It's about learning how to live as the person you've become. Okay? And that can be surprisingly difficult because sometimes we spend so much time surviving, living in survival mode, that we don't know what to do when we finally feel safe. Right? Sometimes we spend so much time fixing ourselves that we forget we're allowed to simply just live our lives. You know, sometimes we spend years trying to get out of the darkness. And when we finally reach the light, we're standing there asking questions like, okay, so now what? Where do I go from here? And that's the conversation we're having today. So, welcome to season 2. Welcome to the next chapter of your life. And most importantly, welcome back to yourself. So, now you survived, but now you have to live. So, let's start here, right? This is the 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 difference between surviving life and actually living it. And sometimes we don't realize that we've been surviving until we have finally had a moment where we're not, right? Your focus becomes very narrow and you think about what's happening right now. How am I going to get through to today? How am I going to pay this? How am I going to deal with this person? How am I going to get through this particular conversation? How am I going to make it through this situation? You become really good at handling emergencies. You become really good at adapting, right? You become really good at being strong. But strength can become a habit. And sometimes being strong becomes the only way you know how to exist. You don't know how to relax. You don't know how to receive. You don't know how to trust good things. You don't know how to sit still without feeling like, you're supposed to be doing something. You don't know how to enjoy something without immediately wondering when it's going to, disappear. And that's something I want us to talk about this season because healing isn't simply about getting rid of pain, okay? Healing is also learning how to experience peace without feeling suspicious of it, okay? So I want you to think about that. Have you ever finally gotten into a peaceful situation and then started looking for something wrong, right? Everything is going well and your mind says something is about to happen. You meet someone who treats you well and instead of enjoying it, you start waiting for, you know, the other shoe to drop. you know, you finally accomplish something and then instead of celebrating, you immediately start thinking about the next thing you need to accomplish. You finally have a quiet moment and suddenly your mind starts creating problems that doesn't even exist. And that's not necessarily because you're ungrateful. Sometimes it's because chaos became familiar to you. It became something, it became a thing. And familiarity can feel like safety, even when it isn't. Okay. And that's a powerful realization to have, because sometimes we don't miss the person, we miss the familiarity of that person. Sometimes we don't miss the relationship, we miss the routine. We don't miss the old life, we miss knowing exactly what to expect. And stepping into a new chapter means accepting something uncomfortable. You may have to become comfortable with not knowing, right? So the old you may not know what to do with the new you. And here's something else. When you change internally, your external life doesn't automatically change. Okay? It doesn't automatically change overnight. You may still have the same phone number, the same house, job, family, friends, responsibilities, the same environment, but you're different. And that can create tension. Why? Because people may still expect the old version of you. They may expect you to react the way you used to, or they may expect you to always say yes, or they may expect you to explain yourself. They may expect you to have access to you. And that may create, they may expect like the old version of your personality. And when you don't respond the same way that you used to anymore, what happens is that they tend to notice. And sometimes they'll say things like, You changed, you know? And you know what? They're right. You have changed. But changing isn't always a bad thing. Sometimes changing means you're finally responding to life from consciousness instead of conditioning. Maybe you don't argue anymore. You don't chase anymore. You don't explain yourself anymore. Maybe you don't need everybody to understand you. Maybe you're no longer interested in proving that you're a good person. You simply know who you are, and that is enough. But here's where it gets interesting. You have to learn not to turn your growth into another form of rigidity, okay? Because healing doesn't mean, look, I will never make another mistake. That's not what healing means. Healing doesn't mean I will never get triggered again. Okay? It doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean I will never have a bad day. That's not what healing means. Healing means that you now have more awareness. You have more awareness around what happens when you do. You understand what I'm saying? That's a big difference. Very big difference. The goal isn't to be perfect. The goal is self-awareness. Because when you become self-aware, you can make better decisions. You don't have to keep reinventing yourself. One thing I want to challenge this season is the idea that we constantly need to become, quote unquote, a new version of ourselves. Sometimes social media, right, it tends to make personal growth sound like it sound exhausting. you know, New morning routine, new diet, new mindset, new identity, new business, new aesthetic, new relationship, new life. It goes on and on. And suddenly, personal growth becomes another performance. You have to show everything off. But what if growth isn't always about becoming something new? What if sometimes growth is just simply becoming more honest about who you've always been? Who are you? Maybe you're not supposed to become somebody else. Maybe you're supposed to stop abandoning yourself. Stop shrinking, stop pretending. Maybe you're supposed to stop living according to expectations that were never yours, expectations of society, expectations of the world. Maybe the real transformation isn't who am I becoming? Maybe it's who am I when I stop trying to be who everyone else wants me to be or needs me to be? That's a different question, and it's a deeper question. So, what do you actually want? So here's where I want to challenge you. Forget what looks impressive. Forget what sounds successful. Forget what other people think you should want. Forget what your family expects of you. Forget what society told you adulthood was supposed to look like. Forget it. Forget that timeline. Forget the comparison. Ask yourself, what do I really want as my own individual self? What does Sheena want for herself without thinking about what anybody outside of me wants? Not what I should, not what not what should I want, not what would make other people proud, not what make me look successful, but what do I want? And you might be surprised by how difficult that question is, because sometimes we spend so much time meeting expectations that we stop developing our own. You can become extremely skilled at being what everybody else needs and completely disconnected from what you need. That's why going within matters, because sometimes the answer isn't outside. It's buried underneath years and years of conditioning ever since you was a child. Underneath the fear, the guilt, the expectations, the voice that says, you should get married, you should have children, you should have this career, you should make this much money, you should live here, you should look like this, you should just everybody just shut up. You know? When you start looking like at it like that, it gets frustrating because you start to realize, hey, I should what? The only thing I should do is be me and do what the hell I want to do. That's what I should do. Right? Who decided those things? And why? There's a pressure in society on people to have it all figured out. And that's unrealistic. And it's bullshit. It's unrealistic. Can we talk about this for a second? I'm trying to get really raw and real with you, because society has a way of conditioning people to think that they should be a certain way. They should have this. They should look like this. They should. No. I think a lot of adults are walking around pretending they know exactly what they're doing. And meanwhile, everybody's quietly figuring it out. So don't miss me with that facade, talking to society, not you individually, but society as a collective. Miss me with that. Some people are just better at hiding it, right? You know what I'm talking about. We look at somebody and think they have it all together. Yeah, okay. Meanwhile, they're sitting in their car somewhere saying, what am I doing with my life? Probably sobbing and crying. We're all human. We're all figuring things out. No one has it all figured out. I guarantee you that. And I think there's freedom in admitting, look, I don't know yet. Okay? I don't know. That sentence doesn't mean you're lost. Sometimes it just means that you're honest with yourself. You just simply don't know. You don't have to have the next 10 years mapped out. You just need enough clarity today to take the next honest step. And that's something I want season 2 to focus on. The next step, not the entire staircase. Just the next step. Where do we go from here? Your life doesn't have to look impressive to be meaningful. Let's redefine something, okay? A meaningful life doesn't necessarily look impressive from the outside. Maybe your dream is not to become famous, right? Maybe it's not to become wealthy. Maybe it's not to own a mansion. Maybe you want a peaceful home, a healthy relationship. Maybe you want to wake up without anxiety about the day. Maybe you want enough money to live a comfortable life. You want to travel. You want to create something. You want to help people. Spend more time with your family. Laugh more. Stop being so serious. Maybe you just want to finally enjoy the life that you work so hard to create. And that's okay. Your definition of success doesn't have to impress anybody. It just has to feel right to you and you only. The art of trusting your next chapter. There's going to be moments in the next chapter when you feel uncertain. Don't mistake uncertainty for failure. Okay? Sometimes uncertainty just simply means that you're entering territory you've never experienced before. And of course, you're nervous. That's normal. You're a human. But you don't have to know exactly how everything will unfold. You can trust yourself to respond when it does. Trust that you will know exactly what you need to do in that moment. That's what self-trust really becomes. You don't need to trust that everything will go according to plan. You need to just trust. Trust whatever happens, I will meet myself there. And that's a very powerful thing. It sounds so simple, but it's powerful, trust me. Because life is unpredictable. People change, plans change, opportunities appear, opportunities disappear. Doors close, things end, new things begin. You can't control everything, but you can develop a relationship with yourself strong enough that you don't completely fall apart every time life surprises you. Call it trusting in God. It's the same thing. It's the same thing because God is in you. Okay? You can say, I don't know what happens next, but I know I'll figure it out. That's the mindset. I don't know what happens next. I'm uncertain, but I do know that whatever it is, I will, in fact, figure it out. I always do. And that's where you find peace. Not certainty, but peace and trust. You are allowed to enjoy your life. I want to pause here because this one matters a lot. Okay, you are allowed to enjoy your life. Not after everything is perfect, not after you've healed every wound, not after you've accomplished every goal, but right now. Life is short. So right now, you can laugh. Right now, you can dance. Right now, you can be silly. You can take yourself somewhere nice. You can wear that outfit. Why you have the outfit sitting in your closet collecting dust? Wear that outfit. Go somewhere and wear it. You can take that trip. You can buy flowers. You don't need to wait for somebody to buy you flowers. Buy yourself flowers so you can admire them yourself. You can listen to music, sit outside, watch the sunset, listen to birds. You can celebrate yourself. You can enjoy a good day without worrying about the bad one that might come tomorrow. Why are you worrying about tomorrow? You only have today. Think about it. You only ever have today. Tomorrow is never promised to anyone. So think about today. Because sometimes healing people become so focused on self-improvement that they forget self-enjoyment. And I don't want that for us. I don't. I don't want season 2 to be another season about fixing yourself. I want it to be about living consciously, living intentionally, living authentically, living from the inside out. And you don't have to go back. There may be people from your past who only recognize the old you. There may be places that remind you of who you used to be, and there may be situations that tempt you to return to old patterns. And sometimes the temptation isn't because the old life was better, it's because it was familiar. But familiar doesn't automatically mean healthy, right? Sometimes you have to let the old version of your life remain exactly where it belongs, behind you. You don't have to hate your past. You don't have to regret anything. You don't have to regret everything. You don't have to pretend it never happened. You can honor that, honor it. You can learn from it and appreciate what it taught you and still move forward. That's what you call maturity. You can say, hey, that was part of my story, but it doesn't have to be the rest of my story, right? This season is about moving forward. So, what can you expect from season 2? Well, we're going deeper. We're going beyond simply asking, what do I need to heal? And we're going to start asking, what am I ready to create? What kind of relationship do you want now? What kind of environment supports you? What does purpose mean to you? What does peace look like in everyday life? How do you protect your energy without becoming emotionally unavailable? How do you love people without losing yourself? How do you trust your intuition? How do you recognize when you're operating from fear? How do you create a life that actually reflects the person you've become? These are the conversations we're going to have because healing is not the destination. Healing gives you the capacity to live your life differently. And that's where we're going. I want to leave you with something. If you have your headphones in right now, if you're driving, if you're sitting at home, you're cleaning, whatever you're doing and wherever you are, take a moment. Close your eyes if it's safe to do so. Take a breath and ask yourself, who am I now? Not who was I, not who do people think I am, not who was I supposed to become, but who am I now? What matters to me now? What no longer matters to me now? What do I want more of? What do I want less of? What am I ready to stop carrying? What am I ready to begin? And most importantly, what kind of life would I create if I stopped being afraid of becoming the person I know I can be? And sit with that. Don't rush the answer. Sometimes your soul doesn't scream, Sometimes it whispers. And you have to become quiet enough so that you can hear it. When I say quiet, I mean quiet in your mind. Season 1 taught us how to go within. Season 2 is about taking what we found there and bringing it into the world. Because what good is self-awareness if we don't use it? What good is it? What good is healing if we continue living the same way? What good is discovering our voice if we're still afraid to use it? What good is learning or discovering our worth if we're still negotiating with people who refuse to recognize it? At some point, the inner work has to become the outer life. And that's what this season is about integration, taking the lessons and living them, taking the healing and building with it, taking the wisdom and applying it, taking the person you've become and allowing that person to actually experience life. So, if season 1 was about coming home to yourself, season 2 is about building a life that feels like home. And I'm so excited to take this journey with you. Thank you for coming back. Thank you for listening. Thank you for giving yourself permission to grow. And thank you for going within. Because when you change what's happening within you, you begin to experience the world differently around you. And remember, you don't have to have everything figured out. You don't have to know every step. You don't have to become perfect. You just have to be willing to keep moving. One honest decision, one brave conversation, one boundary, one dream, one breath, one day at a time. This journey didn't end with season 1. It continued. And now we're working into the next chapter together. So I'm Reiki Master Sheena C, and this is Going Within. Until next time, keep healing inward, keep choosing yourself, keep trusting your journey, and whatever you do, don't forget to go within. See you in the next episode. Ciao.
I'm going within today. You're in my mind, I'ma be okay.